He thought he was just flirting with a beautiful stranger at a dimly lit bar in San Diego. But when she looked up, smirked, and said two chilling words, Viper 1, the Navy SEAL who'd seen death up close dropped his drink, because that call sign belonged to a legend, one who was supposed to be dead. The bar was dim, the music low, the air heavy with stories that never made it into reports. It was one of those quiet San Diego nights when Navy men came to forget the ocean and everything it demanded of them. Lieutenant Commander Jason Reed, call sign, Ghost, sat alone at the counter, swirling the amber whiskey in his glass, watching the reflection of the neon light cut across the liquid like shattered memories. He'd just returned from a classified operation in the Middle East, a mission that went right on paper but wrong in his soul. The silence of lost brothers still echoed inside him. That's when she walked in. She wasn't loud or glamorous, but the moment she stepped through the door, everything in the room shifted. Her hair was tied back into a tight braid, military style. The scars on her knuckles told a story her calm face didn't. Jason watched her order a drink, bourbon, neat, no hesitation, no small talk. That alone caught his attention. Women didn't usually walk into this place alone. And they definitely didn't drink bourbon neat. He slid his stool over, just enough to bridge the distance without seeming like he was trying too hard. Rough day, he asked with a smirk. She didn't even look up. Every day's rough if you know what I know, she replied coolly. Her voice was low, commanding, controlled, almost dangerous. Jason grinned. Navy, he asked, testing the waters. She looked at him then, her eyes sharp and calculating, like someone who had once learned to read faces to stay alive. Something like that, she said, sipping her bourbon. He extended a hand. Lieutenant Commander Jason Reed, SEAL Team 6. She raised an eyebrow, the faintest smile tugging at her lips. You guys still around? She teased. He chuckled. Last I checked. Then he leaned closer. What about you? You look like you've seen your share of sand. She hesitated. Her fingers tightened around her glass, and for a split second, he saw something flicker across her face, something between pain and memory. Then, with an almost casual shrug, she looked back at him and said, They used to call me Viper 1. The words dropped between them like a grenade. Jason froze. The laughter from the other end of the bar seemed to vanish, replaced by a ringing silence that only he could hear. His drink slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Bourbon spilled across his boots, but he didn't even look down. That's impossible, he whispered. Because, Viper 1, wasn't just a call sign. It was a legend, a ghost story told in SEAL briefings and training camps. Viper 1 was the female operative who led a covert extraction in Syria 5 years ago, an op that went dark. The entire unit was presumed Kia, including her. Now she was sitting across from him, alive, calm, and sipping bourbon like the dead never touched her. You're supposed to be dead, he finally said. She smirked. That's the idea. Jason couldn't shake the moment. He sat across from her, his pulse racing, his training screaming at him to keep his cool, but the man inside him, the one who'd lost brothers on that same operation, was unraveling. You were part of Phantom Strike, he said. That op went to hell. Everyone except me, she interrupted sharply. The way she said it made him flinch. Why didn't you come back? He asked quietly. She stared at the bottle in front of her. Because the people who sent us there didn't want anyone coming back. Jason leaned back, trying to process her words. He had heard rumors, about a Black Ops mission gone wrong, about intelligence that was buried too deep, about an internal betrayal. But none of it ever surfaced officially. The files were sealed under the Defense Intelligence Black Ledger. He had once tried to access them but hit a wall even his clearance couldn't break. And now, here she was, the living proof that the government had lied. So you've been off the grid? He asked, hiding. She gave a dry laugh. Surviving. There's a difference. Jason studied her face more closely. The scars, the hardened jaw, the faint mark on her temple, those weren't just battle wounds. They were survival signatures. What happened out there? He finally asked. Her gaze softened just slightly. You really want to know, Ghost? I need to know, he said firmly. She looked away, staring at the mirror behind the bar. We were tasked with extracting a target, an informant embedded deep inside a weapons trafficking ring. But the coordinates were wrong. Someone fed us false intel. When we landed, we walked straight into an ambush. My team never had a chance. Jason clenched his fists, his throat tightening. You called for backup. Command went silent, she said bitterly. We were cut off. I lost everyone, so I did what I had to do, I disappeared. Jason's mind raced. Who set you up? She gave him a cold look. The same people you're still taking orders from. That hit him hard. He'd always trusted his chain of command, his team, his mission. But something in her tone made him realize she wasn't bluffing. Why come back now? He asked. She finished her drink and placed the glass down gently. Because someone's cleaning house. The ones who survived that op, they're being hunted. I need to find out who's behind it before they find me. Jason exhaled slowly. You want help? No, she said. I want truth. He looked at her, and for the first time, he saw not a ghost, but a soldier still fighting a war no one else knew existed. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small data key, and slid it across the table. This can open what's left of the Phantom Strike files, he said. She looked at it but didn't touch it. If I take this, there's no going back. You never went back, he replied quietly. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then she stood up, slipped the key into her pocket, and whispered, Meet me at Pier 47, midnight. Come alone. As she walked out, Jason realized something terrifying. His life had just been rewritten by 2 words. Viper 1. The fog hung low over the harbor, swallowing the faint light from the city like a predator. Jason stood near the edge of the dock, his hand resting on his sidearm, scanning the shadows. Every creak of wood made his pulse jump. He had been in countless firefights, ambushes, and covert insertions, but this was different. This wasn't enemy territory, it was betrayal territory. At exactly midnight, he heard footsteps. She appeared from the fog, her movements precise, silent. She was wearing tactical gear now, not civilian clothes. The Viper was back. You came, she said quietly. Couldn't let a ghost walk alone, he replied. She smirked. You brought backup. No, you, always. From the shadows, 2 figures emerged, both armed, both wearing nondescript uniforms. Jason tensed. Relax, she said. They're my eyes. They boarded a small fishing boat, cutting across the water toward a decommissioned naval storage facility. As the boat approached the dark silhouette of the building, she handed him a tablet. The files you gave me were encrypted, but I found a hidden layer. Look, the screen showed a classified report, Phantom Strike, Termination Order. Authorized by Admiral R. Hawkins. Jason froze. That can't be right. Hawkins was our commanding officer. He gave the green light for the mission. In the order to erase us, she said grimly. As they reached the dock, gunfire erupted. The air exploded with sound. Jason dove behind a crate as bullets sliced through the night. Her 2 men went down instantly. Ambush, Jason yelled. They knew we were coming. She cursed under her breath, returning fire. They always know, Ghost. That's how they win. Together they moved, clearing the dock, covering each other like they'd been teammates for years. Jason was struck by her precision, every shot deliberate, controlled, deadly. When the shooting stopped, the silence felt heavier than before. Jason looked around, only bodies and blood. She knelt beside one of the fallen attackers, ripped off his mask, and froze. This one's not one of theirs, she whispered. He's NSA. Jason's stomach turned. This goes deeper than we thought. She nodded grimly. They're burning every trail. Jason looked at her. What's next? She stared at the horizon, her eyes reflecting the faint glow of the city. We find Hawkins. By dawn, they were already en route to Coronado. Jason used his clearance to get them access into the SEAL command compound. They moved like shadows, blending in, their stolen badges and tactical comm keeping them invisible. The Admiral's office was at the top of the east wing. As they entered, Hawkins was sitting at his desk, calm as if he'd been waiting for them. Jason, and, the ghost herself, he said with a dry smile. You should have stayed dead, Viper. She aimed her weapon at him. You tried to make sure of that. Hawkins leaned back, unbothered. You were collateral damage. The op had to be erased. You knew too much. About what? Jason demanded. About who profits from the war, Hawkins replied coldly. You think your missions are about saving lives? No, they're about keeping certain pockets full. Jason's blood boiled. You betrayed your own men. I served my country, Hawkins said smugly. Just not the one you believe in. Before Jason could react, Hawkins pressed a hidden button under his desk. Alarms blared. Security teams stormed the hallway. Viper grabbed Jason's arm. We're done here. Move. They sprinted through the corridors, bullets chasing their footsteps. Smoke grenades filled the hallways, alarms screamed, and chaos erupted. They fought their way to the extraction point, rooftop helipad. As the helicopter blade spun, Viper turned to Jason. You can still walk away. Pretend you never saw me. Jason shook his head. You're not alone anymore. She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Together they leapt into the chopper, disappearing into the rising sun. 3 weeks later, a leaked file hit the dark web, Operation Phantom Strike, classified evidence. Inside were documents exposing corruption at the highest levels of defense intelligence. Admiral Hawkins resigned. Several arrests followed, but the real question people whispered was, who leaked it? Jason watched the news from his small apartment, a smile playing on his lips. Then his phone buzzed. A message. You owe me a drink. V1, he looked out at the ocean and whispered, anytime, Viper 1. Some legends never die, they just go off the radar long enough to change the world. If this story gripped your heart and sent chills down your spine, don't just scroll away. Hit like if you believe legends never truly die. Comment, Viper 1 forever, to honor the warriors who fight in silence. And don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Vibes for more powerful, emotional, and action-packed stories where courage, loyalty, and truth always rise from the ashes. Because sometimes, the deadliest warriors wear no medals, only scars.